What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing the best performance mods you could do to a 370Z. We're going to go over some of the basics first, like what it takes to make power in the first place, like sticking with some natural aspirated mods, and then talking about boosted performance options as well. But there's a lot that goes into it, so stay tuned and we're going to go step by step. Alright, so starting with number one, the way combustion engines make power is they intake air, they mix it with a certain amount of air to fuel ratio, and they exhaust it out. And so the first way we could do that with an all-motor platform, if we're not going to talk boost first, is we can add some nice intakes. And so what I have are some 3-inch Z1 intakes. You can do some 2.5. The reason we want to do this is because the stock intake boxes are some pretty crappy tubing, and they lead into a little air box filter that really is just sucking in some hot air. And the point of cold air intakes, not the shorty ones that people often get as well, where you have the filter still within your engine bay, it's basically a hot air intake because it's sucking in all the hot air from your engine bay. So the point of the long tube 2.5 or 3-inch is that they come up and in front of the bumper, and you got the intakes up here which are sucking in the cold air from down here. So that helps a ton because cooler air burns better. And I guess you could say the pros and cons of 2.5 and 3-inch. So I guess I'll go over the 2.5. Pretty much the benefit of those is you don't really have to make modifications to bringing the 3-inch intakes up into the front, and 2.5 intakes you don't have to get a tune immediately, versus the 3-inch you do have to kind of make some cut marks right here so that the intake tubes can come up and through here, and have your bash bar kind of modified a bit too so that the filters themselves can fit. So I did do all those things. And then you do need a tune right away when you put the 3-inch intakes on. So I guess at the end of the day, they are pretty close in performance. I think the 3-inch overall is just worth it. But yeah, so that's the first way you can make some more power, is you're gonna wanna add some intakes to your 370Z. The second thing you're gonna wanna do is get an exhaust system, and we're gonna start with the headers. So headers are the first thing that leave the engine bay for exhausting the air out. So if you keep the OEM shorty headers, it's gonna be for a reason, and we'll go over that. It's mostly boost related. But if you purchase headers, a couple directions you could take. You could do the shorty headers like Z1 or Tomei or something like that. Or you could do the popular long tube headers out there like ISR, like I have on mine, or PPE if you're big ballin', because those are the best headers on the market. But long story short, headers are going to free up a lot of exhaust flow from this thing, especially the long tube headers, because you're going to kill two birds with one stone. You're going to get rid of your shorty headers and the catalytic converters. So if you go with the shorties, you're going to want to get the shorty headers, and you're going to want to find some sort of test pipe to get rid of the cats, whether that's a test pipe, resonated test pipes, or high flow cats. But either way, we need to free up the exhaust flow on here, because that's the #1 restricting performance issue with 370Zs. I started with the intakes just to be simple, because we're intaking air first. I wanted to go through the car in that order. But as far as priorities go, if you're doing a first modification of the car for power, you're going to want to do long tube headers or regular headers, and then full exhaust. If you don't do the headers, that's fine. The most important is going to be getting rid of your cats, and then that's going to tie into the catback exhaust. So that's going to be number 3. But tying into the catback exhaust is kind of like a 2-for-1 here. There's a lot of options out there. 3-inch is going to be the way to go if you're going to go for single exits like I did. So I have a dual resonated Y pipe and a single exit from Hull Built Performance with the Helmholtz on the back to help with the drone, and the resonators are for the rasp. But like I said, kind of like the headers coming back from the catback, you want to continue that free-flowing exhaust for maximum airflow, and you'll make some serious gains and be able to rev the engine out a bit more, because it's way less restrictive now, and now the VQ can really breathe and exhaust it all out. So that's the best way to complement an all-motor setup. All right, this next one's really important for the manual guys out there like myself. You're gonna want to upgrade the clutch and the slave cylinder. There's a couple routes you could go. I personally went with the Z1 full clutch kit, 6-puck, and lightweight flywheel. and I got the Z-Speed heavy duty slave. Something you want to take care of because the stock slave cylinder in these things fails, especially if you're running it hot and like beating on it all the time. And then the clutch itself, if you guys have OEM clutches, you guys definitely know it gets very, very soft. And if the slave cylinder fails, it's going to stick to the bottom of the floor, and now you're kind of screwed and stuck on the highway. So I recommend upgrading that because it's also what makes this car so much more fun. It makes the car so much more engaging. The gears just slap way harder. It puts the power down to the rear wheels way, way better. You can just feel it when you're off the clutch. It's like an on-off switch, and it's just like all go, all the torque's ready to go. So that's definitely a big must. You're gonna have to upgrade the clutch. You auto guys, you don't gotta touch that. So you get to save the $1,000 bucks, $1,500 install, whatever you guys want to calculate that price as. All right, the next most important mod you could do to complement all these mods we just did, and if you're going to be beating on it, like drive-in spirited or weekend warrior kind of stuff or track days, you're going to want to keep the car cool. And so the most important thing you could do to do that is add a big oil cooler. So I personally went with the Z1 oil cooler. You can see it back there. I have the Citrab and the thermostatic. Essentially what that does is every time the car reaches a certain temperature, I think it's like 200 or 220, it'll kick on, and then boom. Now you get a fresh cycle of nice, cool oil to keep your temps low, which helps your car run better and healthier. So you're gonna make more power more consistently and continue the lifespan of this car, if that's your goal, of course, to not blow it up. And this is perfect for all motor, but it's also perfect for boost, because now you're ready for boost. You don't have to worry about cooling later. So it's an extra cost that you could save in keeping your engine healthier to prepare for boost later. So definitely you're gonna wanna consider that, both for autos and for manuals. Don't skimp out on it. There's different sizes, different brands. As long as it's a decent size and it's gonna perform for what you wanna do, keeping it all motor, or if you're going boost like I wanna do and plan to do, it's 34 row. So there you go, you're gonna wanna keep it cool. All right, so one of the next most important things you could do to the car is gonna involve actually nothing to do with making power, but using the power. And what that is gonna be your wheels, your tires, and your suspension setup. And so that's gonna involve having really good tires to be able to have traction, to put the power down and make the turns and do all that kind of stuff. But then you're also gonna wanna have some nice wheels, whether it's the OEM Nismo wheels that I really loved and wanna keep, or you get some lightweight wheels aftermarket, like, I don't know, RPF ones or whatever you guys wanna put on here that look really good. Mind you, these are 19, some people will drop to 18s for that. And you can probably compensate with the wheel gap with some bigger tires. But nonetheless, you're also gonna wanna have some good brakes to stop, because that's very important as well. If you're gonna keep doing all the go, you're gonna need all the stop. So OEM brakes on a Nismo are the Akibono big brakes. So these ones are already good. But for your sport guys out there, you're gonna wanna maybe upgrade the braking system for sure, especially if you're going fast and participating in all that, because it's a big safety issue. And it will help a ton. And you could save some weight eventually by doing the slotted rotors that I don't have yet. I didn't do that yet, but that's on the list. Pretty much everything's done here. But for suspension wise, you're gonna wanna do some springs or some coilovers to maximize putting the power down and getting your ride height nice and pretty, because that actually does make a big difference. All right, so at this point, I wanted to kind of go over the things that you still could do to make some more power if you're NA versus if you wanna go the boosted route. And that's gonna be, like, if you want to do ported manifolds and throttle bodies, and if you want to do injectors and fueling, I would say injectors and fueling would be the first thing to do if you want to make some more power as an NA performance, mostly because you can now do like flex fuel options like running E85 or race fuel. And so if you're trying to like break records all motor, then sure, I guess it makes sense to do all those things. But if you want to go boost, I don't really know how necessary it is to do your ported manifolds and your throttle bodies and stuff. As far as bang for the buck goes, versus you're definitely going to need injectors and a fuel pump to do that on boost, because you definitely need to intake more fuel, and you need a fuel pump that can also keep up with those bigger injectors that you'd be getting. So that's definitely the way to go. I say for NA, it's kind of an option because it is a relatively more expensive mod for how much power you're going to make all motor. So depending on what your goals are, like what kind of fueling you want to run and how much power you really want to make for how much you're going to invest in it, I'm kind of just saving it for boost, because me personally, I do have the long tube header set up, and you guys know the car's prepped for boost as I talk about it all the time. So I'm prepping for supercharging it. And so when I do the air-to-air supercharger kit, I want to have the Injector Dynamics 1050 cc's with probably the Walbro fuel pump like 450. So that's the route I'm going to go. I like the drivability. You can also do single turbo options out there. For those, there's quite a bit of options actually, whether you do twin or single. And then if you're gonna do single, there's like a bunch of options too. Are you gonna do it where it's a top mount? Are you gonna do a mid mount? Or are you gonna do rear? From rear to mid to closer, the closer to the engine, the less lag you're gonna have when going into boost in the first place. I guess it really just depends on what your goals are, again, with like how do you want the car to drive and like what kind of numbers are you trying to make and what's your goals, right? So I like the drivability of a linear power band, so I like the supercharger option. I like the reliability of a supercharger, less risk of like spiking and boost. And yeah, I mean, for the turbo guys out there that just want to go fast in a straight line, you can still do the track stuff, I'm sure, out there with a good balance and the right turbo setup. But yeah, I mean, you're just going to get much more of a punch of torque down low. It's going to change the graph of how the power is delivered on here. So it's entirely really just going to change the car. Both superchargers and turbo kits respond really well with this engine. The VQ37VHR is a beautiful engine to tune and modify, whether you're sticking NA or you want to go boost. So yeah, that is going to be what you could do going forward from here, really. If you want to build the engine, the sky's the limit. You can make well over 1,000 out of these. It's just a matter of, can you put it down in a rear wheel drive platform, shorter wheelbase, small chassis kind of car with a stick shift. So good luck out there. I hope you guys learned a lot from today's video. Thank you all for staying till the end of today's video. I appreciate you guys as always for watching. I really hope you learned something. I tried my best to make an explanation for the rhyme and reasoning for why we do the things we do to these cars. Be sure to follow all my social media linked in the description below. I have Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. I'm pretty active on each of them. You get to see a different part of my life in every sense of that. I know I got to make a crypto update video soon. Market's been a little boring and I just want to be able to present you with more information instead of just like a quick update. If you want the quick updates, stay tuned on my social medias, because that's usually where I post on my stories, like Instagram and Snapchat, whether it's pictures of charts or just a little rant or something like that. I'm trying to make as many videos as I can before I put the car away soon, in a few weeks or a month or so. We just hit October, so winter season is gonna be coming soon. It's one of the last nice days we have out here right now. So I'm gonna bring out the Acura again. I actually do have some plans for the Type S this season, nothing crazy, but I gotta do a little something for content and because I love that car and I haven't really messed with it at all other than like fixing it up and cleaning it up. But we're gonna make it look pretty good. That's the little spoiler that I'll give away. And hopefully this time when I edit, the files don't get corrupted and it doesn't have any like texture issues when I post it like last time. This new software is a lot of fun for transitions and underlying music and stuff, but it's been a pain in the butt a little bit. So wish me luck. You won't know because it's gonna be posted before that, but thank you guys for watching again and take it easy. I'll catch you in the next one.